Donald Trump says Bill Clinton was at the Epstein Island also. All right, here we go.
See a big difference.
Ghislaine Maxwell, is that on the table?
Todd Blanche is a great gentleman. He's a great man. Who's a great lawyer. He's got a great heart. But he's over there now. I don't know exactly what's happening, but I certainly can't talk about partners.
Can you trust what she's telling him? She's a convicted trafficker who's eager to get out of prison.
Well, you know, he's a professional lawyer. I think he's been through things like this before. But, you know, you should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the president of Harvard, the former president of Harvard. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey Epstein. I sure as hell didn't.
Put a full mass here. I mean, to MAGA, is he even trying to hide it? He's simply saying, why don't you talk to the other people who were there with me? Clinton was there. As a matter of fact, I have a list. How do you have a list, Trump? Because I was there. Trump tried fleeing reporters. Golf course on Friday in Scotland. The Epstein saga is following him. It will continue to follow him. So as Trump was leaving for Scotland on Friday morning, he's stopped to have a chat, I guess, with reporters who kept throwing the question to him about the Epstein files. When Trump tried to change the subject, the reporters kept returning to how his administration has handled the case. Now, it's not his administration. Everybody knows it is him directing the direction, the tonality, and the eventual, basically, dismissal of the entire investigation. There's more. That's when Trump said that the press really should focus on Clinton and Harvard's president, that he had nothing to do with Epstein. But here's the thing. So Trump, you said, sir, in your own words, that you had a list. You said there were these hedge fund guys. We don't know about the hedge fund guys. Obviously you do, but you have the list. So if you would, sir, produce that list, that may actually help further the investigation that you have concluded doesn't exist. And as a matter of fact, sir, if you have a list, that also means that a client list must exist. You have a list of hedge fund guys that none of us have been privy to. I don't know why they did not ask you for the list, sir. It was an easy 1-2, in my opinion, but I'm asking you for the list. So if you would, and to MAGA, if you would, continue to press the president of the United States about the list he has admitted that the government does in fact have. Bloomberg News reported on Friday that Clinton did respond to Trump trying to throw him under the bus by saying Trump should release the files. Now here's what I gotta say before I go back to this part. Regardless of what you may say about Clinton, and I got words about Clinton myself, or President Obama, or even Bush, 1 and 2. None of them closed the Epstein files. None of them concluded that there's no such thing as an Epstein anything. None of them did this, and none of them ran on the presidential premise for election that they would in fact be transparent in reference specifically to Epstein. Only Trump has done that. All right, there's more. All right, so CNN reporter, senior reporter, Edward Isaac Dover quoted a person close to former President Clinton as saying, quote, it's been 20 years since President Clinton last had contact with Epstein, well before any of his crimes came to light. President Clinton has never been accused of any wrongdoing. Furthermore, When asked about the release of documents last year by the court, we did not and do not object to the unsealing, end quote. The reporter reports that statement was in response to a question that the Wall Street Journal's reporting on Epstein's leather-bound birthday book from 2003. Letters from both Clinton and Trump are in the book. Trump has repeatedly denied he wrote the typed letter, which includes a drawing of a naked woman. But the journal reports his signature is on the letter, and he does have a very distinct signature. So Trump, meantime, just could not dodge the controversy, which is following him around like a bad stench. When he arrived in Scotland on Friday, reporters were again waiting for him in Scotland. He was asked whether he was ever briefed on the Epstein files. Quote, "No, I was never briefed." No, that means yes, he was. His code is not difficult to decipher. He insisted, although reports indicate he was briefed by the Justice Department twice in the month of May. It continues. So he again tried to divert attention from the scandal, saying, quote, "I'm focused on making deals, not conspiracy theories that you are. I watch you people. It is so sad. Talk about the success of our country instead of this nonsense you talk about over and over," he demanded. Sir, I've seen you send tweets about Snoop Dogg. I've seen you at 2:00 in the morning rage against Jigga, Jay-Z. Sir, we have seen you have breakdowns because you didn't like the way somebody painted the presidential portrait. So you mean to tell me that in all of your presidential pettiness, because that's the only conclusive terminology we can come up with, that the Epstein file is more petty than all of the pettiness you have given this country? All right, put him on full bag. Here we go. So Trump has threatened to prosecute over the Epstein files. Now, this is all reaction from the Epstein file. He has now threatened to prosecute former President Barack Obama. He has threatened to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell. I don't think Jerome has corrected Trump in real time. He's the only person that kind of serves in the administration, the Fed Chair's adjacent administration adjacent. Jerome has corrected Trump on live television, real time. Trump hasn't fired anybody. He hasn't started the process trying to get rid of the guy, and I don't think he will. Jerome is fine. First of all, his name is Jerome. That's Jerome Powell. He sent prosecutors down to Florida to interview fellow Epstein co-conspirator, Ms. Maxwell. Why? Why now? He is suing Rupert Murdoch for telling the truth. Two Wall Street Journal reporters at a newspaper's publisher, Dow Jones, for libel and slander over reporting on a racy book of letters written by some of the most famous people in the world, including Trump and former President Bill Clinton. He doesn't win that lawsuit on face. It probably gets dismissed for being frivolous due to the fact that in order to successfully sue for libel and slander of a public official, you have to prove that the information you are presenting was known to be untrue. And you personally knew it to be untrue because it has to carry a requirement not only of it not being true, but also of it being maliciously done outside of good faith. This happens to not only be true, but the individuals who reported it had no knowledge that it was untrue. Frivolous lawsuit, it should be kicked out on motion. All right, Jackson, thoughts here, dear brother.
I mean, like, to me, this ultimately, I think a lot of what's happening right now with Trump is, he's overstayed his welcome. The veil is cracked, and it was always going to be something that hinged his downfall. But a similar situation of like if you living with somebody, let's say you dating somebody and they living with you now, never pay for nothing. They don't never hold down no job. And it's cute for a couple months, maybe even a couple years. But eventually you're gonna wake up one day and be like, man, this stank ass. Man, if you don't get up and go be somebody and go do something, why am I doing it's a similar way for Trump. You feel me? Like, cause it's like Donald Trump has always just been this stank ass, just loony person. And, half the country's been like, girl, if you don't leave him, like you don't need him. You can do better than that. MAGA's just like, but I love him. And then they just can't do it. You feel me? And now finally it's like this Epstein thing is just the crack in the wall and the fortress. And it's because it's just so crazy. It's like, dude, and nothing that he says, and on a more serious note, like he can't jive his way out of this. Oh, so what? Okay, if Bill Clinton's in there, then we will hold him accountable. Like nobody cares in that regard. But you won't release it. It's not even like, oh, you just protecting yourself. You also defending other people maybe that I mean, or what, like Ghislaine Maxwell, you gonna pardon her, you gonna lighten her sentence. This is a child sex trafficker. That's right. Who this woman is. So I mean, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? There's really nothing that he can wiggle his way out. And, people aren't making more money because of this man. Like we're not living in a new American golden age. So, he went from being this like steamy love affair, and now the honeymoon stage is over. And it's just like, oh man, I can do better than this guy. But,
that was an ironic, but extremely fitting comparison. Trump is a stank ass, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You heard it here first.